Hello and welcome. It is Monday, the 5th day of August 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. Like always, all bets, trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. Price action now at highs not seen since the 13th of July, or 23-day highs. And we're very close to making 25 or 26-day highs as well. As it stands, this is the seventh consecutive up day in a row. The third brought the price action above the 18 average of highs, and just continuation along the way there. Yesterday, I drew in a trend line that I was looking at, and it's at an interesting situation now. If we're looking at this on an 8 hour, if we start off with this high in here, and we connect this point, and this point, so that's four different times in which the price action reached that line. Well, it's in the area of supporting it right now. For it got up to that level just recently in here, but it had a pause period, a little bit of extension, and this is a 3 hour time frame, hour left at this time, and just hanging in there above this line right now. This could be sparking a very, very interesting day. This is early in the morning right now, 6:53, but we're looking at a trend line that from the intro hit, two, three, four after every single time it hit. Where did it go down to? 18. Came down to the 18 in here. Came down to the 18 here. Sustained time within it as well in here. And then after this consolidation point breaking out, of course, an amazing green candle higher today. As we transition into the single hour term, we had this rally yesterday morning that got up to 10,009 and this long, long, long sideways consolidation. But when it was done that, with this little failed breakdown at 1700 hours yesterday, the price had one, two, three green candles in a row and of good, decent increase. This hour was 2.25%, 2.08 the following, and then 1 2/3 there after that. And then these three red candles are sideways, and then three not as good, but still bringing the price action up higher. This is we haven't came back to this area where technically maybe we have. But anyway, yeah, after this, three little small green candles up, 2/3%, 5/9, and again 2/3. Looking at this on the 15-minute term time frame, and we can see in here there's the last good gain that it had, 20 hours up in yeah up until 2300 hours, and then uh, sideways move, up move, and sideways move. So very good gain, of course, getting past that 11,000, and for it to go right up to that trend line really quick. I mean, I'll say it again, it was just luck. And then you could talk about luck when you're good. For if the New York Yankees ever get lucky, that's just sick. And if you're good and you put yourself in position to be lucky, well, then that's just how, as it is. So that's one way of looking at the variable of luck. It's going to happen to both people who put themselves in position for it and who don't. It's just those who put themselves in position to get lucky will get lucky more often. And I guess the same could be said about being unlucky, both to people who are in position for it as well as not in position for it. Okay, so in the 3 day chart, price action after coming down to the 18 average of lows for several days, three periods up, has went from the below the lows to now barely above the highs. On the weekly chart, we're seeing the excitation above such in here and continuation of going sideways on the monthly chart. And as mentioned before, until as long as it stays in this range, it's in a sideways neutral consolidation in a primary uptrend. And the resistance range is from 13.5 to about 13.8 and support at about 91, 9200. Gold, it's up today against the dollar, that of 1.21% in a very good setup. But against Bitcoin, it would not be. It'd be down against Bitcoin, as it cost 12 and a half Bitcoin to get 100 ounces of gold. Yeah, so it's a tale of two different charts, and it really it's the Bitcoin volatility that's going to drive the direction of this chart. For on the weekly chart, gold has just been in a tremendously large downtrend as it's lost half of its value several times over against Bitcoin. Looking at gold on the monthly chart against the dollar, it's a totally different story as it's up 50% from the low almost. But most importantly, it's at highs not seen during the duration of this that I'm showing. It's got a very good weekly term time frame setup where it's going to be close. There's probably around 1471 or so would be resistance that would, or uptrend line that would cover these 2 days here, like well, this two and this, and then on the monthly chart, seeing how it's already broken past this established resistance. Gold is now at highs not seen since May of 2013 against the US dollar, and it's at all time highs against the Canadian dollar now. We're seeing it in at 1,929, but above these 2011 highs. The previous all time high was 1905. Right now, 1934 is the current all time highs. When were they put in? Looks like last hour. There's a good chance that these all time highs will be taken out in time, and probably with by the time you've already watched it, it probably should have. At least there's a good chance already broken that all-time high. Silver is up against the US dollar, of course, not against Bitcoin. I won't show that similarity there, but you get the whole point that Bitcoin does drive the precious metal markets. But will silver and gold ever have anything to say about it? If gold has a quick run up to 5,000 and silver goes to 250, which probably won't happen, well, then that would put a lot of pressure on the cryptocurrencies to keep controlling the direction of the precious metals market. Because when Bitcoin goes up, of course, silver will go down will go down. And when Bitcoin goes down, silver would go up, regardless of what it does here. But as for what it is doing here, it's looking to attempt to get above the 18 average of highs on the daily, holding and pausing on the 8 hour as it came down, breaking down below this low. And now up to this multiple hit. This will be the fourth test of this high. But what I like about it as it plays out, it's where did it come from? All that type of stuff. Where does it have the potential to go? Well, where it has the potential to go is a significant break above this line. I go with three little bears of stature. Probably not going to be small. Meaning, oh, well, we go to 1677, higher than that. That's just too small, kind of deal, as one example. But we're seeing it after this extended correction and how we had this that move to happen in beforehand to me gives it the extra bullish statement and really a double dip move for it. As it originally of course had this obvious one, but then thereafter that it did it again in here. So two little failed moves, and this 8 hour period with 3 hours to go or 5 hours into this one, holding and staying above this. So to me, this looks like it might be ready to have a good move. We had three really good green candles up following this small one going on. This is on the triple day. So we have what was a 3%, 4%, and 2%. But let's get real here. Having days back in the past 4, 5, 6% wasn't uncommon. In fact, I used to talk big about how well silver's got good volatility compared to gold in the stock market and most stocks. I really can't say that anymore, at least not against most stocks anyway. But what I will say is that when it's ready to go, that volatility, don't be surprised if it really gets going because the size of these moves in here compared to now, and that's basically what I'm saying. Back in here, having 5% and 8% and 12% days were common. And those common days, well, I believe that bar, testing that bar and breaking that bar especially, I think will be coming again. Meaning, I believe we will test the volatility of the past and break it. The gold to silver ratio now, well, after several 8 days consecutive down, a little bit of retracement, but for what it's worth, just hanging in there, down 0.4% for the day, which means silver is barely overperforming gold today with its up move. Palladium continues, well, it's not going up really, so it's going to be going down against its gold ratio, which we'll show in a second. But after this very large 6% down day, how is it acting after the fact? Well, it's continuation down 1.25 on Friday, and really not doing too much for it today. And on the monthly chart, it is just doing fantastic as it's managed to get above this level of resistance. If there's going to be any decent pullback, I'd be looking for support to come between 845 and 1100 on the long-term time frame. The ratio against gold has gold back in the lead as far as being worth more at 1.04. I put some Fibonacci lines in a while ago at 159 and 7.79. But for the month right now, up 11%. But on the daily term time frame, we can see that gold is getting some action back against such. Now at levels not seen, at least against palladium, since well, for the year we're at yearly highs. And just to get better decimals, I could say 1.03. But I'm just going to multiply this by 100 and then say 1.0352. Now moving on to crypto and altcoins. This is a list of coins that I have in for trading, and I mean, pretty much everything is down. So if we sort it by percentage losers, DGB is down 8.79%, which means it's down a little bit against the dollar. Same thing with T-Fuel and Sky and GRS at the 8% mark. But coins like Go, Komodo, and Lumen, which are down 4, are technically barely up against the dollar. Theta at 3.76. I mean, it's all down. On the upside, well, Bitcoin, there's a 6.26% up gain right now. And Litecoin against Bitcoin, it's overperforming it right now. And it did get over 90 today, or this morning. So let's take a look at this and see what the story is. Because it started at 3 o'clock in the morning, until, well, that's when the bottom came in at basically the 80 number. These highs are highs basically last seen since August the 2nd, 3 days ago. So nothing too fantastic there. But very, very fast, big move on the 15-minute time frame. This is where we had, again, we can see more towards how fast this move is on the 8-hour. Yeah, it's just getting up to the 18 average of high. So it's interesting how this plays out, because here on the long term, holding and staying above, piercing below the 18 lows is what I'd want to see it happen, or the 86 too. On the shorter term, it's gotten above it, so I want to say it hold and stay above here. Well, in this case, staying above like even 85, so many different levels. You can even say 86 as the 18 would start to rise above it as well. But of course, it's doing here what all the other coins are not. And we take a look at this against the US dollar. We've seen it come down to this $90 level earlier, up to about 106. So intraday volatility, that's I guess even intraday from 94 rather. Having a move from 94 to 106, 12 basis points, that's well over 10%. For 9.5 would be that of 10. So 13%, pretty decent size move, 15-minute term time frame, coming back down pretty fast. Even when we look at this on the 1 minute, how fast some of these individual minutes can be. 2%, well, this minute here, 1.27, then a little over 2, and then almost 1.5, and then exactly 1.5. And then it gets a decline of 2, a decline of 1/6, and a decline of 2/3. And since then, it's just been hanging in there. And as far as this volatility from 101.76 up to 105 change, that's $3 full plus the bit differentials on both sides. So 3.5 or so, a little better than that, and that's over 3%. in just a short period of time. So we do have the possibility for some decent sized volatility for today's session as we continue forward. It's a Monday. And I think this a lot of times, like, okay, Saturday, Sunday, probably not going to be too exciting. But then as we head into the morning, it could be as early as like, well, 3 o'clock Eastern time. That's when it becomes sunrise in London, England. Then we could have maybe some decent sized moves that can take place when you first consider the European markets. And at that point, you already have the Asian markets, the Asian Pacific markets, already hours into their daily Monday morning for themselves. But Litecoin is now at levels, when we take a look at this on the daily, getting above here. We're now going back to spots from July the 9th, so a little over 1 month highs. But that 100 is really almost a magical number. For on the weekly chart, when it got above this 100 number, it went close to about 400. But it ended up staying and holding above, was even a little over that 107 for a long period of time, up until about June of 2018. So for over half a year, it had price action holding and staying above it. And of course, this higher low rally from this low, filling what was a lot of empty space, and now filling the space from this low to this high. And then you ask, this is one of the things I said to myself in the early days of technical analysis. When you're at a midway point or close enough to one, from a key high and a key low, well, what's the next one you're going to take out? So the question in here is, okay, you're going to take out 400, or you're going to take down about three and change. And well, right now it hasn't done neither. And then from this high to this low, okay, now that we've come here, are we going to take out, well, same thing again, this high as it was before, or this low at around 22? And I'm going to be making my wagers, and I already have, of course, based on my ownership holdings and how I play the market, for it to be towards the upside. Now, how long it's going to take and in the waiting game, well, it's been a decent sized wait as it is, which means you could wait decently a bit longer. But for me, I'm not here to predict when that big move is going to take place. All I know is technically here it's attempting to do it again by getting above the 18 average of highs on this, and we'll see how she goes over this week. Now let's move on to DGB against Bitcoin at 83 Satoshi now. And I did it this way so I can see it on a better log scale. But these 2017 lows went all the way down before it broke out to like 17. And it had already had these price moves, not these okay points in here, but markets go up, markets go down, and then this huge move up, down, up, down, up, down. This little bit of a failed rally here, and then it's been going down. So as long as it's not on its way to zero, and it might be, but if not, we'll probably have a decent sized rally. But I'm going to be looking for resistance next on the long term at around 260. And then just because I'll be looking for resistance there, well, if there's not resistance there, I'll be looking for resistance next at about 600. But if this thing continues going down and we're at like 26 Satoshi, well, I'm going to be looking for resistance near 100 next. For when looking at the decline that a lot of these altcoins have had, well, this is what Theta looks like against Bitcoin on the triple day. Yet its case of the decline is the fact that it's just been holding in there, staying at these 13-cent prices, because its big rally got up to 20, and it's not that really that far from it, but it's well above the lows against the dollar, where a lot of these coins are at the lows against Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has had a phenomenal rally from the $3,000 low or $3,100 lows and the $4,000 April breakout lows. But for me, I'll just keep looking at my ratios. One of them being Litecoin and Theta, which is near 800 now. It was near 700, and it was over 11. And it'll just keep moving up and down, and I'll keep trading it regardless of its up and down moves, appropriately, or as it should be. Of course, when this goes up, that means selling Litecoin for Theta. Going down means selling Theta for Litecoin. So in conclusion, I'll just show Ripple against Bitcoin, which is down, and Ripple against the dollar, which is more choppy than anything this year. And thank you for tuning in. And most likely, given the volatility today, there might be a good chance of a second video. So I've been doing one for the last like 5, 6 days in a row. And it still might be the case, but I'm expecting there could be a good chance of volatility today. We'll see as it goes on. 7:21 a.m. as I'm concluding this video. And thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.